Peace and good, and greetings once again from the Shrine of St. Anthony. And we literally are in the chapel today near the shrine. And we're continuing this series of reflections on one of the readings that you're probably not going to hear too much about in the homily for this coming Sunday, which will be the 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time. And as we've been doing now for quite a few weeks, we're reading from the letter to the Hebrews, which just again, briefly, is a letter written to a community of Jewish converts, you might say, people who were Jews who became Christian. And the letter is an attempt to help them to understand who they are in the light of their tradition. So we, in the first session or two, we reflected upon the commandments and the role of Sabbath. And we've been having a rather extensive series of readings that will actually conclude next week about Jesus as the high priest and trying to understand who Christ was through that tradition of the high priest of the people of Israel. So with that said, let's listen to the reading that we'll hear this coming Sunday. Christ did not enter into a sanctuary made by hands, a copy of the true one, but heaven itself, that he might now appear before God on our behalf. Not that he might offer himself repeatedly, as the high priest enters each year into the sanctuary with blood that is not his own. If that were so, he would have had to suffer repeatedly from the foundation of the world. But now, once for all, he has appeared at the end of the ages to take away sin by his sacrifice. Just as it is appointed that human beings die once, and after this the judgment, so also Christ, offered once to take away the sins of many, will appear a second time, not to take away sin, but to bring salvation to those who eagerly await him. If you ask someone in the 13th century who lived in Europe, perhaps, what age of the world they lived in, they might actually have said, well, we live in the Middle Ages, right? The Middle Ages. We live in the middle. Now, they would say that not because they had this vision of the modern age to come, right? This Messiah of the modern world. That's not their understanding. That was not what they were thinking about. It wasn't like they were saying, well, we can't wait for the modern world to come and we live here in the middle. But rather, they had a very deep awareness that they lived in a middle age, an age between the coming of Christ, the incarnation and the fulfillment of the Paschal mystery, and the final age of the world, the fulfillment of the world, the next world, eternal life, and that we live in the middle. This was a very common theme for trying to understand who we are and where we are in the history of salvation. Throughout the Judeo-Christian tradition, there have been different ways of approaching that. For example, in Genesis, we read about the 7 days of creation, right? 6 days where God actively creates, and a 7th day of rest. That image inspired both Jewish and Christian writers, thinkers, theologians, mystics, to reflect upon that and to see, now from a Christian perspective, we would see the 6th day of age of the world, going back to the 6th day of creation, is if you remember, the creation, God creates everything. It says it is all very good. God completes God's work. Who completed the recreation of the work? Who completed the recreation of creation? Jesus, in the incarnation, in the Paschal mystery. Okay? And we ourselves live after that event. So we live between the sixth day and the seventh day, if you will, where the seventh day is viewed as the coming of the fullness of the kingdom, right? The day of rest, right? When we will rest with the Lord in eternal life. The author of Hebrews today talks about this Jesus coming, the two comings of Christ, if you will, right? One in time, when he, like the high priest, offers himself, right? And it's interesting to go through those images, right? Not that he might come, not that he might offer himself repeatedly, as the high priest enters each year into the sanctuary with blood that is not his own. So Jesus, as the new high priest, Jesus comes into the world. He enters the world once. He offers not the blood of animals, he offers his own blood as a sacrifice, right? For all sins, once for all, one time. And that offering is for all time, for all of us who ever lived. It is the offering that brings us salvation, which offers us salvation. And Jesus, having completed his work, returns to his Father in heaven, right? Each time we gather for the liturgy, we connect ourselves to the Paschal mystery once again. We're not offering a new sacrifice, right? Jesus is not being offered again, right? He offered himself once, but it was an offering that continues, that perdures. Think of that beautiful imagery of the book of Revelation, right? The Lamb as if slain in the eternity, in the eternal kingdom, which is where we're headed. But we live in this world. We live in the Middle Ages, if you will, right? The modern world is not our Messiah. Christ is our Messiah, and that is our goal. That is our destination. After we complete our sojourn in this world, that is where we will be. And in fact, as we complete these reflections next week, we'll look at, if you will, that last age of the world and the role of Jesus as the eternal high priest there. But I think our awareness of living in the Middle Ages, if you will, this time between the incarnation, the Paschal mystery, and the fullness of time, it's a reminder of our call to use this time well, right? To live what Jesus taught, to live as Jesus lived, as best we can in whatever state of life we find ourselves in. And as it is attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, in those great words, while we have time, let us do good. Just a reminder that we'll be continuing this series, and we'll be completing this Reflections on the Letter to the Hebrews next week for the 33rd Sunday of Ordinary Time. And then the week after that is Christ the King and the end of the liturgical year. So we have one more week to go. And also a reminder to those of you who might be watching this that we will be continuing our series of online Franciscan talks. The next one will be November the 16th, Tuesday evening at 7:30 Eastern Time. So depending on where you might live in the world, you might need to figure out what time that is, but it'll be 7:30 Eastern Time. The invitations to that have gone out. If you're connected to us through the website, the Companions of St. Anthony website, or to our social media presences, you can see an invitation there where you can sign up and join us. And we hope you will. We're entering into a penitential season of the church year, with the coming of Advent shortly. So the theme for this month will be the joy of doing penance. Doing penance, a key image for Francis of Assisi, and trying to understand what does doing penance mean for him, and what it can mean for us. So until next time, we send you our blessings, a reminder that you are all our companions. You are all the companions of St. Anthony, and you are united with us here in our prayers and devotion and liturgy here at the shrine, and we remember you in our prayers every evening in the Friary Chapel. So until next time, may the Lord give you peace.